I think heading into the season, the wisdom of the crowds, from a lot of people anyway, had you guys ahead of the Braves. What do you think they've done well, obviously, this season, and what do you need to do to sort of make up that gap?
I mean, they've played exceptional on all sides of the ball. You could make an argument they're the best team in baseball right now, or have played the best in baseball right now. They deserve a lot of credit for that, and we have not. We've played inconsistent. Obviously, we had a very rough stretch in April that put us behind the eight ball, and they deserve to be where they are.
Chelsea?
I just have a few quick pitching questions. What's kind of your vision for Tobias Myers over the next few weeks here?
So Tobias is eligible for recall some point as we get into next week. I would expect, just in the natural flow of things, he's going to be back shortly after he's eligible for recall. Obviously, there's nothing set in stone there, but he's a big part of this team. We got into a spot where we needed an arm. We had worked him pretty hard, and it was the right move to make. But he's a big part of this, and at some point we're going to need to get him back here.
And he won't have had time to fully stretch back out, but what's kind of his ideal role for you guys when he gets back in your mind?
I think a lot. You're right. He won't have time to fully stretch out. I think his role is going to be whatever we actually need at that point. So he could pitch at the front of games. It could be more in the swing capacity that we saw from him at points this year. But that's sort of what makes him special, is he has the ability to help us in a variety of different ways, and we probably aren't going to lock him into one specific role when he comes back.
And just has anything you've seen from Peterson in his last start or in general changed the way you plan to use him moving forward?
I think when Petey is right, it's a really effective major league pitcher, and we see that he can come inside to right-handed hitters. His slider is deceptive. He's throwing strikes. He's commanding the baseball to both sides of the plate. And during my time here, we've seen that happen more times than not. And clearly we're now in a spot where it's more inconsistent than he would want or we would want. And so I think all of our focus is to get him back to the best version of himself. I know he's working really hard at it. And his performance plus our team needs will dictate the role.
Mike?
David, you look where this team is sitting right now. Why should anybody think anything's going to change here?
Look, we've got to prove that things are going to change. We've played better since April. There's no question we've played better since April. But we still haven't played consistent enough to get ourselves out of a hole that we dug in April, and we're very aware of that. So we have to prove it. I continue to believe that we have people in the clubhouse who are capable of doing this, but we got to prove it.
And you look at this stretch here. It's the next 23 games, 13 against the Phillies and Braves here. Would you put kind of extra emphasis on this stretch here, given who the opponents are?
I think where we are in the season, where we are from a record standpoint, regardless of who we'd be playing over the next month, is going to have an added level of importance. So this is an important time of year for us.
Max?
Hey, David, during the Cardinals series, we saw the quality of at-bat be something talked about again with chase and swing decisions. Just what do you make of that trend for your offense this year, and why do you think it's still an issue at this point?
Yeah, it has been inconsistent. There's no question about that. We have had stretches where I think the quality of our bats have been really high. And from my perspective, I think we've had those stretches maybe a little bit more than maybe has been realized. But we have definitely had games where there haven't been, and that's going to happen over the course of the season. Even the best teams, the best offensives in baseball, are going to have games like that. But I would agree that we've had too many. I don't think it's a lack of preparation. I do think our preparation is consistently of high quality. I think our guys are engaged. It's very difficult for me to put a finger on the exact reason why we see back-to-back games like we did at the front end of this homestand. None of us was expecting that.
John.
You've had mixed results from your winter pickups, but a lot of injuries and some underperformance. I'm not asking for an autopsy now, but is there any lessons to be learned about what was decided in the winter, or just too early to judge on anything?
Yeah, I think we're focused on doing everything we can on a daily basis to win as many games right now as possible, and probably less focused on the postmortem right now.
Jerry.
Carlos said Francisco Lindor had a sim game today of sorts. How close do you think he is to rehab appearance, rehab stint, and how close do you think he is to getting back for you guys?
Yeah, so I think from the larger picture, our expectation is he's going to play games for us this month. I don't know exactly when this month, but that means we're getting closer. And we want to go as fast as possible, as smart as possible, and that's a delicate line.
Keith.
David, the opener strategy is kind of out of necessity, but how would you assess how that's gone with some injuries and underperformance?
Yeah, I think for the most part it has gone pretty well, and we've run into a couple where we've given up some runs early and it hasn't worked, and that's going to happen. There are obviously a variety of reasons why clubs go to the opener strategy. Maybe the top of the order is particularly well suited for a right-handed or left-handed pitcher. It may protect your bulk pitcher from a particular hitter or two second or third time through. It allows you to potentially get into a game, see where you are at a certain point in the game, and then allows the manager to decide which direction he wants to take the game from a leverage standpoint. So there are a variety of different ways, a variety of reasons to do it. And I think our guys who, for the most part, have taken the ball at the front of the game in those situations have done a nice job.
Abby.
Kind of going back to what Max was talking about in terms of swing decisions and quality at bats, how much of that is on the coaching staff, and how much of that is maybe some of these guys just sort of pressing at the plate to try to make something happen right now?
It's always difficult to tell, but yeah, I think guys want to do well, and sometimes you search for hits, and you see what your numbers say on the scoreboard, and sometimes it can be natural to search for hits, and that's an impulse at times that I think players have to guard against. I don't know if that's what happens on occasion. I'm certain it's not a conscious thing. I think it could be happening subconsciously, and that's possible. But clearly, you got to be able to control the strike zone, or else teams are really good, and they'll pick you apart.
Mike.
You look at where the Braves are, team ERA, I believe they're first. Does that make you rethink your assessment of your pitching coach after last season and your decision to part ways with him?
We're happy with our coaching staff right now. Have some really good person, a good coach, and it doesn't surprise me that he's having success.
Chelsea.
What's kind of a realistic expectation for what Polanco can give you guys now, just given what you've kind of discovered about this injury and how it lingers?
Yeah, it's going to be primarily DH, but we expect a really quality bat, and that's our expectation, and we got to get him to the point where he can do that.
John.
Wondering how Robert is doing, and Ewing has been so great. And we've got Polanco as a potential DH. You've got it seems to be a logjam there. Is there a spot for Robert when he comes back?
That is a wonderful problem to have, John. If we are getting to the point where we have too many healthy and productive position players, I will happily deal with that. Robert is progressing. We don't have a time frame on him. I do think he is feeling a lot more positive about where he is right now, and the fact that we're getting into and closer to complete baseball activities is definitely a positive. But until we've got a definitive time frame on when he could be back here, that's not an issue I'm particularly concerned about.
Taking it from the other side, then as Ewing kind of earned the spot, he's been so good defensively as well as
I think
bats have been good too.
I think AJ's been very good and has certainly earned his playing time.
Andrew?
With the first base situation, what have you made of some of the struggles that Marcus had, particularly against right-handed pitching, and then just the spark that Jared has provided there so far?
Jay has a really good quality at bat every time up, and we saw that at periods last year. He just never got the consistent playing time. That opportunity never emerged for him here last year. But he's done a really nice job, I think, on both sides of the ball. I think he's played a pretty nice first base as well. And Mark's had his moments, and he, for the first, I'd say, 6 weeks of the season, actually made some nice plays over there, and I thought was doing a really nice job. And there were a couple ground balls more recently that I think he believes he could make, and certainly we believe he can make that we haven't. But he's working over there, and I do believe it's within his skill set to be a quality first base defender.
What have you made of him just offensively?
It hasn't been his best, and he knows that. I think there have been times this year where he's had a tough time getting on time with the fastball. When you do that, you can speed yourself up a little bit, and then you become susceptible, particularly versus right-handed spin, and we've seen that. And then you get caught in between, and we've seen that. So he's kind of hit every stumble that you see hitters hit when they've struggled, and other than maybe a 10-day stretch in May, we just haven't gotten him going. We also know it's in there, and we know that there's a really impactful bat when he's right.
Max?
What stands out most to you about Soto as a hitter? Like, what impresses you the most, and what has he meant to this team this year?
What impressed? I mean, the whole thing is pretty impressive. I keep coming back to his knowledge of the strike zone and his ability to take incredibly good pitches in leverage counts, and there are so few hitters who can do that in the 0-2, 1-2, 2-2 counts that are in the pitcher's favor, and the pitcher executes exactly what he is looking to do, some sort of strike to ball pitch, generally a spin pitch, and he's got the ability to lay off of it, and it's a freakish quality.
Howie?
David, where are you at now in terms of how you feel that you have adjusted to the ABS compared with where you were at the beginning of the season? You ran out early yesterday, for example, but by and large, are you in a better place with that now than you were in April, or is it still very much a work in progress?
I think our players are more comfortable with it, and I think they're more comfortable challenging. I think early on we were very hesitant because we didn't want to lose challenges early in games. And then I think our players adjusted, realizing that, well, that 3-2 pitch in the first inning is still pretty important, and if we think that call has gone the wrong way, we should challenge it. Haven't been perfect. I think we saw in AAA over the last couple of years that players who repeated in leagues that had it got better with it, and got better with it from first half to second half, for example. And so I would expect big leaguers in general, but more specifically our players, to continue to understand the system a little bit better and continue to get more accurate.
Jerry?
A few teams in the NL that got off to fast starts really come back to the pack. Padres, Reds, Cubs. The third wild card's at an 85-win pace now. Does that make your path back to potential contention feel a little more tangible, a little more realistic?
I haven't really thought about that. Yeah, we need to focus on us. Like what the rest of the National League is doing right now for us, in my opinion at least, is somewhat irrelevant. We've got to play consistently better baseball. We've got to win more consistently. Once we start doing that, then I'll happily start looking at the standings and what the rest of the National League is doing.